Dette er madlavning med Tristan. Og i dag bager vi Brunsviger. Ja tak.
Sorry, I was in a fugue state. Let's get to it. Brunsviger is essentially a yeasted dough with a sugar glaze on top. Let's start with that glaze. I have here 150 grams of butter and an equal 150 grams of brown sugar. Now we're going to melt that over gentle heat until we have a homogeneous mixture. And we're there. I turn off the heat at this point. If yours is broken and there's a little bit of fat on the surface, don't panic. As it cools off the heat, give it a couple stirs and it should become one again. While it's still nice and warm, I'm just going to add a little bit of ground cinnamon. Now let's get to our yeasted dough. Anytime I'm working with yeast, I like to bloom it, just to make sure it's alive before I go to use it. So to do that, I'm just going to mix my yeast with some warm milk and a pinch of sugar. I put my milk in the microwave for about 30 seconds. I add that warm milk to a bowl, add my yeast, and add about a tablespoon of sugar. I whisk that all together and let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. After that time, it should be nice and foamy and smell yeasty. Then I know I'm ready to go in with my other ingredients. I have here 40 grams of melted butter, 1 egg, give that a nice mix, and for our dry ingredients I've got 250 grams of standard flour, a fragrant little pinch of cardamom, and a little whisper of just some standard salt. And we really just want to mix this dough until it comes together and is nice and smooth. If you have a fancy machine, you're certainly welcome to use that with a dough hook attachment. Either route you go, you want to end up with something like this. Looks reminiscent of pat a choux almost. I'm popping that dough onto a rectangular cake pan, and I have a buttered piece of parchment paper on the bottom there just to make my life easier a little later. And now we simply work the dough and try and stretch it to each corner of the pan. Pull it, stretch it, do whatever you gotta do. I've even seen some people roll it out with a rolling pin. But eventually it should look something like this. And now we poke it all over with our fingertips, almost like we're making a focaccia of some kind. Don't be afraid to go crazy with those holes. The grooves are part of the magic. Now that our dough is irrigated, let's add our sugary, buttery goodness. And using an offset spatula, or really anything, just try and spread that evenly all over. Don't feel like this has to be absolutely perfect. We're not frosting a cake after all. Now we cover the dough and let it rise in a warm, draft-free area for about 45 minutes. After this time, if it looks about the same, like mine does here, give it another 10 minutes or so. We want it to be nice and puffy. That's better. At this point, you can do some last-minute pokes in some of the big spots where the dough has really poofed up, but don't go too crazy or else it'll deflate completely. And now we pop that into an oven at 180 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes or so. Let's see how we've done. Ooh, that's looking pretty nice. The ridges are nice and crispy where the sugar is caramelized, yet our little indentations are full of gooey goodness. I let this sit for a couple minutes before I got it out of the tray, and oh, for Hilda, this just looks so good. It's best to enjoy Brunsviger when it's still nice and warm. Have it with a nice cup of coffee from your favorite Copenhagen roaster. So, Hugo.
Tak for denne gang. See you in Valhalla. Skål!